Hello, and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the Algebra 1 concept of solutions, graphs, and quadratic functions. This is standard A.6C in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 2 of the 2024 released STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. All right, so we've got this quadratic function here, and we need to go ahead and figure out which of these functions best represents this graph. All we know that we could tell it's got a maximum value right there at 1, right? We could see that we've got a vertex right there, and we've got some zeros, some solutions. Now that's where it crosses the x-axis, right? So we've got those 2 points. That's about it. So how do we solve this? Well, one way to do this would be to take a look at these zeros and think, all right, so if we know that when we've got these solutions, right, that's when x equals -3, right? And then when we've got this x equals -5. All right, so if we think about our factored form, this is h of x, right? So h of x, the factored form is going to be some type of multiplier on the outside. We don't know what that is. And then it's going to be x minus, and then let's take one of these, right? So I'm going to have to put up brackets in these, -3, and then x minus this other one. Let's get this -5 in there. All right, so that's going to be our factored form. But what I could do is I could simplify that, right? So I'll deal with that a momentarily. This is going to end up being x plus 3 because I've got a minus -3. And then an x plus 5 because I've got an x minus -5. So let's just use the distributive property to kind of FOIL this out here. So we're going to get a, right? And that's going to be x squared. And that's going to be plus 5x plus 3x plus 15. All right, so if we simplify this, we're going to h of x equals a and then x squared plus 8x plus 15. We're close. Doesn't really help me because look, I've got 8x's and 15's all over the place. The question is are there negatives or are they all positive? It all depends on that a. So how are we going to solve for that a? Well, let's take a point, and in this case, let's use that vertex that we already labeled, right? So we know that vertex is going to be x of -4, y of 1. Let's plug that in. Now our h of x is sitting right in that dependent variable spot, so I'm going to make that 1 equals, so I replace that y, that h of x with 1, a times, now my -4 is going to be my x. So I need to put in that -4 squared plus 8 times -4 plus 15. And then simplify and solve for a. So let's see what that's going to look like. I'm going to get a times, that's -4 squared is going to be 16. 8 times -4 is going to be -32 plus 15. All right, so this is going to end up being -16 plus 15. That's interesting. All right, so we get 1 equals a times -1. So I need to isolate the a. So divide both sides by -1. And that means a equals 1 over -1, which is just -1. All right, so now we have our full equation. H of x equals -1. But since we're multiplying by -1, we really don't put a -1 out there. We just put negative. And then this right here, right? X squared plus 8x plus 15, which means it's going to end up being -x squared minus 8x minus 15. So a whole bunch of minuses. And so our answer here is A. Now, let's plug it in to make sure that works. All right, so I've plugged it in here into Desmos, and we see, if we want to make that a little bit bigger, we do have -4, 1. We have our zeros at -3 and -5. That does match. So that is our answer, A.